many countries have initiated national level RED strategy planning processes and are poised to move into the implementation phase. So I think that stakeholders both domestically and internationally are going to be watching to see if there are specific steps and progress to show that these governments are serious about the commitments that they've undertaken and actually start to see some changes in policies, some changes in practices, and some flows in funds to get these national RED strategies off the ground.
Without biodiversity and without healthy, resilient forests, there's no carbon storage and there's no long-term carbon storage, because forests are close to ecological tipping points. They might fall over the edge, so to speak, if we have warming at some stage, and we need to avoid that by keeping the forest biodiverse and resilient.
You know, we are all in the same boat, the industry and the forest communities. We depend on forests, so it's very important for us that forests are planted and forests are restored around the world, and that the promotion of sustainable forest management is embedded in that, as well as the enhancement of carbon stocks.
Of anything to do with forests, because as you know, 80% of biodiversity is land-based, and forests play a critical role in that. So unquestionably, we're going to be continuing the story of biodiversity in 2011, and it gives us a great chance to underline the inseparable nature of these two areas.
What we're seeing is a historic alignment of constituencies. We've known for decades that tropical forests are important for all kinds of reasons. I mean, not least for the biological diversity that they contain, which is very important to human communities, both the local communities and globally. And we've increasingly understood how important forests are for ecosystem services. So the municipal water supply of a city downstream may well be dependent on the integrity of a forested watershed upstream. And I think that's something that's more recently appreciated. We also appreciate how both the livelihoods and the cultural integrity of many communities that live in the forest depend on keeping forest as forest.
Biodiversity and climate change are inextricably linked, and we see this the closer you get to the ground and to the implementation, the more clear that becomes to anybody who works in RED. But at this high level of political talks, we often have a highly fragmented political system of these negotiations. We need to overcome those barriers, educate climate negotiators about the value and the support of biodiversity for RED+, for adaptation. And I think we're making good progress, partly thanks to Forest Day.
In fact, our industry is part of the industries that are called energy intensive. But there's a lot of energy used in our industries that is renewable energy, right? So there's several ways in which we reduce the carbon footprint in the sector. We are developing technologies, low carbon technologies, energy efficiencies as well. We have to.
Any achievement outcome of the International Year of the Forest will contribute. If not, then at least facilitate the agreement of the Rio +20. If we could achieve, make some progress in the negotiations in this our RED+ process, I'm sure it will contribute also greatly to the Rio +20, and let's take full advantage of 2011.
Celebrate forests. We can always talk about the negatives, but let's share with the public the positives of forests, which are amazing and breathtaking and spectacular and awesome. And we need to tell that story in a different way than we have in the past, so that the public understands it's not just a question of the sky is falling or there's doom and gloom, but it's also a very good story to tell.